world of fraud is big business, and scammers have taken no time off during the pandemic. Instead, they raked in billions of dollars from unsuspecting individuals. In 2020 alone, the Federal Trade Commission received more than 2.2 million reports of fraud, with expected losses totaling close to $3.3 billion. Good evening and welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Christina Loren. We also welcome our listeners joining us on Rural Radio Sirius XM Channel 147. Tonight, we share the details of an eye-opening special investigative report titled Inside the Fraud Factory that will be released in this month's AARP Bulletin. The experts with AARP are here to answer your questions live on the air tonight, and they'll share insider tips on how you can spot and stop a scam. Our question of the month is, have you been asked to purchase a gift card to pay a bill or settle a debt? And as always, when AARP comes to town, they bring a great giveaway with them. And tonight, we're giving away a Yeti cooler to 5 lucky on-air callers. If you're caller number 1, 3, 6, 9, or 11, you will be a winner tonight. So give us a call, 877-283-7570 is the number. You don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win. And as a friendly reminder, you can only win one time each calendar year. Now, if you are one of our lucky on-air winners tonight, AARP will call you back on the number that you called in from. And in the next few days, they will confirm your mailing address. If you are a past winner, you haven't received your cooler just yet, be sure to return their call and provide your shipping address. Our phone lines are now open. Join the conversation, 877-283-7570. We are ready to take your calls, and you might just be a winner. And joining us tonight, Sam Wilson, AARP State Director for the state of Wisconsin, joins us from Middleton, Wisconsin. And Amy Knopfziger, Director for AARP Fraud Victim Support, joins us from Denver, Colorado. Two fan favorites. Glad to have you both back on the show tonight, and we have a lot to unpack. Let's start with how we can avoid becoming the target of fraud and what makes someone susceptible to scams. Amy, you work directly with those who may have fallen victim to a scam, or they have a family member who has. Is there a pattern that we can point to here?
There actually isn't a pattern. Anybody can be a victim of a scam. There are some things that we find out through our research that might make you more susceptible. Isolation. But let's stop there, because who hasn't been isolated this last year, right? Financial struggles, loss of a spouse. It certainly does not have to deal with your education level. That is something we hear a lot. People will say, well, I went to college. I can't believe I was a victim of this scam. It doesn't matter. Everybody is a target and everybody can be a victim. That's why education is so important.
Absolutely, which is why you're both with us tonight and why AARP finds it so important to protect with information. That's how you can guard yourself, armed with knowledge. Sam, AARP conducted a survey, speaking of which, that focused on the gift card scam in particular. Why is this such a popular method for fraudsters?
Well, I will tell you that I pulled out my copy of the AARP Bulletin when I was reading all about the Inside the Fraud Factory expose that was done. And I pulled out a sentence that was actually spoken by our guest expert this evening, Amy Knopfziger. And it says that, that crooks like to get their money in ways that aren't traceable or erasable. And I really love that line. And that speaks to gift cards, because gift cards meet both of those criteria. Once that money's loaded onto there, if you give that number to a fraudster, that money can disappear in an instant. So AARP knows that the issue is huge. In fact, the Federal Trade Commission has suggested there's about $245 million worth of gift card fraud that's occurred since 2018. So we really wanted to take a look at what's people's awareness of gift card scams. Will they even appreciate that this is a problem? So we surveyed 1,000 adults age 18 to 49 and asked them, so what's your awareness of these scams? And 25% of people that responded to the survey didn't even know that gift cards could be used in a scam scenario. They were unaware that it made it such an easy way for fraudsters to get your money, which is really concerning. And we always think about that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so we really know we have a long ways to go to sort of fill that awareness gap. The second piece that's really interesting is that 63% of people, they themselves or somebody they knew, had been asked to make a payment through a gift card. So people have been experiencing potential gift card scams, but in many instances, they're just not recognizing that a gift card in and of itself and being asked to pay that way, it can be a fraudulent activity.
Just that word gift, it's such a pleasant word. It inspires, oh, someone's going to give me a gift. That's a great thing. It's hard to associate that with a fraudster right away. So I understand what's happening out there. Amy, this month's edition of the AARP Bulletin, it takes a deep dive into fraud factories. What exactly is a fraud factory, and what did the investigation reveal?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. A lot of people just really don't know how these frauds and scammers work. But they do. They work in these almost like factories. They're like legitimate businesses. And you can see here, on the front page of the bulletin, it has like one of the offices that they actually worked in. And we know that they will say and do anything to get your hard-earned money. Some of the stuff we talk about in the bulletin article talks about what they'll say to these victims. They'll say, oh, you sound just like my grandmother. She was just as sweet as you, right? They're building that trust. They're building that rapport with you. It is really hard to know that there are these people out there that are just targeting us every day. And whether they're working in these huge criminal gangs or by themselves, learning the red flags will not just protect you, it'll protect your family as well.
Absolutely. You talk about family members. We really have to look out for our older family members as well, because they have become prime targets, unfortunately. Sam, Americans over 50, why are they prime targets for identity theft? Talk about some of the reasons why.
One of the biggest reasons why fraudsters target the 50 plus is they're going to go to who has the money. And we know that, as you get older in life, your savings, your nest eggs have increased. And if I'm going to commit a fraud, I'm less likely to target somebody who's 21 and in college, as opposed to somebody who's 60 at the height of their working career and perhaps have a lot of savings. So part of it is sophisticated targeting on the part of the fraudsters. And the other ways is that, there is a sense that you can reach older adults in ways that you can't reach younger folks. Older adults have a prevalence of landline use as compared to younger consumers. And so fraudsters know that they're going to be able to get you at home, particularly over the last year and, few months that as people have been home more often. And they're also more susceptible to some of the email scams that come through and targeting through grandparent scams. So there's just a very sophisticated method of tools and tricks that the fraudsters use. And unfortunately, the 50 plus with their resources are a prime target.
And they appeal to our emotions, which is so hard as well, because they're really trying to get right to your core so that you will be vulnerable, maybe make a bad decision. Amy, how does the money move, especially when it comes to these gift card scams?
Yeah, the scammers move your money fast, and that is why they ask for these types of payments that are untraceable. So let's go through them quickly, because these can also be a red flag for you. So if anyone asks for you to pay in gift card, right? And I just want to be clear with these are those colorful plastic things that you see at your pharmacy and your drugstore. Those are the gift cards we're talking about. Sometimes the scammers will say that these are electronic vouchers or government bonds. No, they're not. They're gift cards, and they're easily drained. Next, they want your money in either credit card, check, or a debit card. Again, we see these a lot with tech support scams. They'll say, okay, we're going to charge you $249 a month for service and things like that. No, it is a scam. Move on from them, right? Next, they want your money in Bitcoin. We are seeing a lot of Bitcoin requests. And the thing is, Bitcoin is new and we hear about it in the news. People don't even know how easy it is to get. Most of your grocery stores probably have a Bitcoin ATM machine in there. So if anyone says to you, oh, you can easily pay by Bitcoin, huge red flag. Next up, cash, right? Cash is king, right? Untraceable. Here's the thing about cash, though, and I just had one of these calls today. The scammers will always ask you to conceal that cash. Why do they ask you to conceal it? So then when it goes through the postal service or any of those shipping things, the dogs can't smell it. Today, they asked someone to cut open a stuffed animal and shove it with $3,000 in cash. Peer-to-peer app. This is the next one. This is huge right now. We're seeing this with a lot of younger people. Some people don't even know what a peer-to-peer app is. Common names are Venmo, Zelle, and Cash App. These are also untraceable. Why do you think they're called peer-to-peer? Because it's for friends to friends only. We're seeing a lot of these with pet scams. If anyone asks you to pay that you have never met with a peer-to-peer app, huge red flag and walk away. Finally, the good old one of the wire transfers. I've been doing this for 19 years, and wire transfer has been around as long as I've been doing this, and then some. Again, untraceable. If anyone says, oh, I just need you to wire the money either via your bank or through one of the wire transfers at your local grocery store, huge red flag. Do not do it because they are all untraceable. And once you send that money, it's gone.
Can't get it back. All right. We are just getting started tonight. We're going to pause for a quick break. But when we come back, we invite you into the conversation, and we have 5 Yeti coolers to give away to lucky on-air callers. We want you to join the conversation. How have scammers come after your hard-earned money? Maybe through robocalls, maybe internet phishing scams, or maybe you know somebody who's fallen victim to a fraudster. Join our conversation tonight. Let us know so we don't make the same mistakes. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. You might be a winner. We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP after this.
Gift cards are popular and convenient, and not just as gifts. Con artists have latched onto them as an easy and untraceable way to steal your money. Here's what you need to know about gift card payment scams. If you are contacted about an urgent financial matter and told the quickest way to address the issue is to buy 1 or more gift cards, it's a scam. The criminal will ask you to share the numbers on the back of the card, but once that happens, the fraudster has your money instantly. Scammers may refer to gift cards as electronic vouchers, but make no mistake, legitimate businesses will never ask you to pay a fee or debt by purchasing a gift card. It's best to disengage immediately and report the interaction to the AARP Fraud Watch helpline at 877-908-3360. For more about gift card payment scams, go to aarp.org/giftcards.
Sarah, really appreciate that. And welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Christina Loren. Tonight, we take a look at how you can spot a scam and stop it before it happens. We have 5 Yeti coolers to give away as well to lucky on-air callers, number 1, 3, 6, 9, and 11. Yeti coolers, they're known for being super durable. They can keep ice for 5 to 7 days, and if you pick up the phone, you might be the proud owner tonight. Our lines are open, and we want to hear from you. Are you getting robocalls? What about suspicious emails? Call in with your questions. Also, we want to hear your experiences tonight. 877-283-7570. Join the conversation. And joining us once again is Sam Wilson, AARP State Director for Wisconsin. And Amy Knopfziger joins us from Denver, Colorado. She is a fraud expert. I know we have callers waiting, and we're going to get to the phones quickly. But Amy, share with us, if you will, some of the hottest scams out there right now and how we can spot them.
Yeah, so what we're seeing right now is a lot of celebrity imposter scams, right? Because during the pandemic and even still now, a lot of us are going online and maybe we're joining fan clubs or, we're on Instagram following our favorite artists. We're seeing these a lot with country artists as well. We had Travis Tritt recently, Keith Urban. So they'll get a message and that person is pretending to be the celebrity or the celebrity's manager, saying that you want a prize or they need help with their charitable organization. But first they need money from you. Huge red flag asking for that money. If you are on social media, just always remember that any celebrity will have a blue check mark next to their name, and that's how you know you're talking with the right one. We've also seen a lot of Social Security imposter scams. This is where someone calls you and tells you that your Social Security number was used in a crime, often in Texas. I don't know why they're picking on Texas, but the Social Security will never call you unsolicited. Never. And certainly no government agency will ever ask for payment in prepaid gift cards, right? It always goes back to the gift card. They will threaten you with arrest. They will say there's a warrant out for you, and they will get you under the emotional ether. Do not send them gift cards. And finally, a big one we're seeing is people are getting unsolicited text messages, emails, and phone calls saying they're with a big company. We've seen a lot of these. They're pretending they're Amazon, PayPal, Netflix, saying that there's a problem with your account and they need to remote access into your computer to fix it. I had a woman I talked to just yesterday that lost $15,000 in this scam. So just remember, these companies will not reach out to you unsolicited, and they certainly will never ask to get into your computer. These are calls we're hearing on the helpline, and I know, Christina, we have a lot of people waiting to talk to us, but I just want to make sure everyone knows you can always call the helpline and share your story with us as well.
Yeah, and boy, I'm sad to hear that Keith Urban doesn't really want to talk to me.
I know. Probably you, Christina. Probably you. But.
No, he's still happily married. He's still happily married to Nicole Kidman. You know, Sam, for those who are unfamiliar with the vast wealth of resources, before we get callers on the line, AARP, you have so much on your website. Can you just direct people who may want to find out right now more information?
Yeah, we certainly want to make sure that everybody has access to any of the resources we talk about this evening. And certainly our AARP.org platform is a wealth of information, both protecting yourself from fraud and a number, obviously, it almost feels like an infinite number of issues. But make sure, folks, tonight they go to AARP.org/AARP Live. Again, AARP.org/AARP Live. And we always post all the resources that we talk about on our shows there on that website. And I know as we go through the show, I'm sure Amy will provide some more resources about our Fraud Watch Network. And I know we have 800 numbers as well to talk about tonight, too. So if people are getting their pencils out and their pads of paper to jot down all the great information and resources that we have tonight, start with this webpage for any of the online resources that we talk about tonight. And then we'll have some more tools and tricks later on throughout the show.
We always do when AARP comes to town. And since you've got that pen out, 877-283-7570 is the number to call. Let's get to our first winner tonight. It's Terry from Nebraska. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Go right ahead, Terry.
Thank you very much. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, Terry.
Anyway, I just kind of had an idea that before a person if you're contacted with something that seems like what would be a good deal, maybe you should just run it by maybe like a family member or somebody that you can trust, just to make sure you're not making a poor decision or what have you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's great, Terry. We do often recommend that, and we can even be that trusted source for you, right? At AARP, you can call us on the helpline. Because some people, you know, especially during the pandemic, they're not seeing their friends and family as much. But I think you're right, because here's the thing. The scammers want people to get under the emotional ether, right? They want you to think with your heart and your emotions, not with your head and your brain. So if you're under that ether, you're not going to be thinking cognitively. But if you ask your best friend, she's not in that ether. So she could say, you know, Amy, are you sure that sounds right? I feel like I hear some red flags in that. So great information, Terry. Thanks for sharing that tip with everyone.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Next up is Bill of Minnesota. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Go right ahead.
Yeah, say I received a check in the mail for $9,888, and they told me I should cash the check. It's good, and they were going to call me back the next day and tell me where to send the money. And I knew it was a scam, and then I finally decided, I took the check up to our local police department, and they said it was a fraud. And I watch your show every day, and but I keep getting these phone calls on that there's activity on my Social Security card or number, and I just hang up on them. So, but I guess, I don't know. I just can't understand how people can not have a conscience and take money from people.
Yeah, I know that, Bill. I wish people did too. Sam, I loved your face during that when you were listening to the check, because you're like, that doesn't sound like an opportunity I want to be involved with. So how that scam usually works is, and we see it a lot with secret shopping scams, is that someone will receive a check saying it's either like their early earnings, and then that you have to deposit the check and do some secret shopping. Usually it's for gift cards or for things of high dollar value. You then send those items back to the scammer. By the time the check clears the bank, it's found out that that check is fake, and you are left holding the overdraft and everything with that check. And one thing people don't know, but people need to know, is when you sign the back of a check and you deposit it into the bank, you are claiming that that check is good, and you are verifying that you know that there are funds available there. So, I'm glad that that didn't take any money from you, and you did the right thing by hanging up on those Social Security imposter scammers. I mean, Sam, are those calls coming to Wisconsin?
I mean, I really wish we lived in a world where $9,000 checks just showed up randomly, and we could cash those. But Bill, I mean, you did all the right things. It's incredibly annoying to get those phone calls that you just have to avoid, and they happen all times of the day. But Bill's well versed. He's been watching the show. I can tell he's been watching AARP Live for a long time. It's happening in Minnesota. It happens right across the border in Wisconsin. We frequently communicate with our Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection to find out what the top scams are in Wisconsin. And these are the same ones that happen in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and all across the country. So it's the same thing. Unfortunately, the same tactics no matter where you live.
All right, that brings us to our next caller, who is also a winner. It's Tom from North Carolina. Thanks for joining us, Tom. Congratulations. Go right ahead.
Hey there, this is Tom Wilson from Canton, North Carolina. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Hello, cousin. Maybe distant.
I'm on the mature side, like 82 years old, and I do carry a cell phone, and I like everybody else, they get all kind of scams. But recently, on my text side messages, I'm getting a lot of scramble messages that you can't tell what they are. Just a bunch of letters, symbols, and so forth. Is it? I know this is a scam, and I'm just guessing that it's possibly they want you to go back to that website somewhere, and then they're going to either crash your phone or they're going to try to sell you something or con you into doing something. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head. You're exactly right. And I get them too. And I have few cell phones myself, and I'm getting them on all of my phones. You know, what I just do is just do a swipe and delete it and get rid of it. But you're exactly right. Do not click on any of those links. We actually have had an increase of people saying that their phones have been hacked. And it's hard to kind of trace back where it comes from or where their phone got corrupted. And it very well could be from one of those spam and unsolicited texts that you're receiving. So if you do not know who it is, Do not click on that link. And let me just add quickly, one of the other texts that we're seeing, scam texts, are saying that you have a package that is going to be delivered to you and they can't find your house or your address or something like that, and they want you to click on that link. Do not click on that link unless you absolutely know you're expecting a package and you know it is the legitimate source.
Excellent, excellent guidance. Thank you so much for that. That leaves a line open for you and a chance to win a Yeti cooler tonight. 877-283-7570 is the number to call and join the conversation. Next, we're going to Arkansas. Kay joins us. Thanks for joining us, Kay. Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm watching your program tonight, and I get these calls and messages every single day. Sometimes 20 or more a day. And I just wondered, what is the best way to handle it when you get a phone call? To hang up immediately? Or do you need to report the number? Or what do you need to do concerning those calls when you know it's not a number that you know and you've got coded in your phone like a relative or friend that you've already got coded in there with their name, and it's some weird number, sometimes Belize, sometimes just says United States, and you know they're scams when they do that. What's the best way to handle that situation?
Well, I'll start with that, and thanks for your question, Kay. And Sam, I certainly want to hear kind of your refusal script and prevention methods when it comes to this. But, you know, my best piece of advice, unless you absolutely know who's calling, don't pick up the phone and let it go to voicemail, right? Because that's what the scammers want. They want you to engage with them. They might leave a message, but if you listen to the scammer's message on your voicemail, you'll know it's a scam because you're not under that ether. And I really liked your piece of advice, Kay, about having your contact in your phone. If you or a loved one does have a smartphone and can put your contacts into the phone, right? You just get your phone and you plug them on in. That is a great way. And then you can actually go into your phone and you can have all non-contacts go directly to voicemail, right? That's a great prevention strategy. I use it myself. Sam, what are some of yours when it comes to the phone?
No, I would just say exactly what Kay said, you know, in the beginning is I just avoid them altogether. You know, I've heard so many people say, well, I like to get on the phone with them and toy with them a little bit. I don't want anybody messing with fraudsters. These are professionals who make a living getting money out of your pocket. I don't want anyone to even get on the line to even tempt fate that something could happen. So, Kay, if anybody else is listening and wanting the best piece of advice, I would take the one you started with, and that's just avoid the calls. Don't even pick up the calls altogether. You know, I think we used to believe that if we signed up for these do not call lists, we'd be protected. And unfortunately, for the most part, the do not call lists only protect you from the good actors, right? For the most part. And it's, you know, legitimate companies. Well, we've solved a lot of that activity. What we can't solve is the illicit and illegal activity, unfortunately. And so the best scenario is just avoiding it altogether. And unfortunately, as you said, Kay, it could be 20 a day. And unfortunately, until we have a better technology solution to block those altogether, pretend it's not even ringing.
My mom, she wanted a landline in addition to her cell phone. And so we went and we got her a $15 phone, and it has caller ID on it, and it does a good job of picking out the scams as well. So technology is slowly but surely catching up, but it's really going to be up to us, as Amy points out, as you point out, Sam, to be our own advocates here, to be the ones to spot and stop the scam. All right, Max joins the conversation now from Maryland. Thanks for joining us, Max. Go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Recently, I received a phone call. This person knew who I was and asked me for my birthday. I didn't give my birthday away, but personal information like that, if you allow those things to the caller to find these things out, how harmful can they be?
Great question. So this is what I say about identity theft and personal information. Your identity is a puzzle, right? And you don't know which piece of the puzzle the scammers need to complete the whole picture of the puzzle, right? So maybe in your situation, it was an innocent phone call and it was just someone verifying your birthday because they wanted to send you that $9,000 check. Doubt it, right? But maybe your birthday was the only piece of information they needed to complete, let's say, a credit application in your name. You never know. And so you did the right thing by protecting your information and not giving it out. There are some things that people can do if they do feel like their information has been compromised. They can put a fraud alert on their credit report. They can put a freeze on their credit report. All of these are things that we can help you with on the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline. You can call us and talk to a fraud specialist, but you did the right thing. And quickly, if I can just add one piece of information that is being requested a lot now by the scammers are Medicare numbers. They are calling saying that you need a new Medicare card because of COVID or it's going to be plastic or whatever it is, and they want your number. And people, because it's not your Social Security anymore, are more freeing to give that out. But just remember to protect that Medicare number.
Wow. Wow.
Christina, could I jump in just for a second?
Absolutely.
The one piece that's been really recent with regards to bits of information, to go down that road a little bit, I've seen a bunch of people who have taken pictures of their COVID-19 vaccine card, right? And they put it on Facebook or they put it on Twitter, and they're just like, okay, I got my vaccine or whatever. Well, if you don't think about it, you don't realize your birthday's on there, your name's on there. Oftentimes you'll say, you'll be like, I went to the such and such, Walgreens at this location. So what have you just done? If there's a fraudster online looking at your social media channel, they just got your name, your birthday, community you live in, and a relative, proximity to an address, and they can find some of that information. So I've done too many of these shows with Amy to not be totally paranoid about what kind of information gets out there. And it can be even through some of the most well-intended, means that some of this personal information slips out. So you just got to be really careful about what you're putting out there, because the pieces of the puzzle can be put together pretty easily these days using technology that the fraudsters have.
Yeah, really, really good point about those cars. I've seen it happen myself on Twitter and just wonder, what are you thinking doing that? Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. Diane is a winner. She's from Tennessee. Thanks for joining us, Diane. Go right ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering, what's the best way to report a scam?
Great, Diane. Thank you for asking that question. And you weren't even a plant, but I love it because reporting scams is critical. It is critical. We need to know, law enforcement needs to know, the regulators need to know, we need to know what is happening out there. So I always say it doesn't matter who you report it to as long as you can report it. So if you're comfortable reporting it to us at AARP, if you're comfortable reporting it to local law enforcement, to your Attorney General's office, to the Federal Trade Commission, to the FBI, whoever you are comfortable with. And we always talk about any open door among kind of all of our community partners. If you report it to my team and we really feel like you need to talk to the FBI, we will get you there and we will make sure that you have the appropriate place to report it. I mean, Sam, you've been doing this for a long time too on RFD. I mean, we always talk about reporting, right?
That's exactly right. And it is, as you said, the no wrong door policy. I mean, some people are going to feel really comfortable talking to local law enforcement. They may in their small community know the sheriff or a deputy. They're a great resource for them. Some people may have, be familiar with some of the programs that attorneys general do in their states, or in our case in Wisconsin, the Department of Ag, Trade and Consumer Protection, a consumer protection agency. But the point is, what you made, Amy, is that we only know about what's reported. And unfortunately, when we give out statistics like we gave out earlier this evening about how much fraud we know that that's just a small percentage of the actual fraud that occurs. So in order to track frauds as they're occurring and understand the scope of those frauds, the only way we can do that is to have people report them to whatever agency they're most comfortable with. including AARP and our Fraud Watch Network.
You know, which is great that you have that. And you know, this is probably a good opportunity to give that number out. And I would ask you, Amy, what does a typical call look like? If someone calls into the hotline, where do they go from there?
Yeah, great question. So you will be first with one of our fraud teams, and they'll ask you a couple of questions to kind of establish where you need to go next. You know, can they help you there, or do you need to kind of be elevated to one of our 60 fraud specialists that we have across the country, all working virtually from home right now, of course, due to the pandemic, but we are there for you. So they'll ask you a couple of questions and you can give as much personal information as you would like, or you can stay anonymous. We really just want to help you and get you on track. I mean, I took a bunch of calls today, and you know, some folks I talked to for 2 minutes and some folks I talked to for 30 minutes. You know, we're there for you, we sit with you, and we walk alongside of you with this fraud issue.
Wow, and I bet you have heard it all just from listening to people, which makes you so well versed in what you do, and why we love having you on this show. Okay, we're going to go. By the way, congratulations, Diane. You are the winner of a Yeti cooler, and we still have 2 more to give away. Mike from Kentucky joins the conversation. Go right ahead, Mike. Mike, are you there? All right, sounds like we're having a little bit of trouble. We got Rob in Georgia, though, standing by. Thanks for joining us. Rob, go right ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know, I mean, there's a lot of scams going on, and I think a lot of people have heard about them, the ones like where they're checking for your Social Security, or they're telling you you've won a prize and you need to send them gift cards or something. But I got one the other day that was very unique. I have a small farm, and I was selling stuff on Craigslist, and I got someone that said they were interested in coming to the farm to buy the product, and they said they wanted to make sure that I was legit. So they were going to send me a 6-digit code for me to verify. And so I said, fine, that works for me. So they sent me a text message, but instead of the 6-digit code, they sent me a URL to link. And I think that was truly a scam. They wanted me to click on that URL so they could hack my phone. And that's the thing with these crooks. I mean, they're very creative. They do new things all the time. And so it's hard to stay up. I mean, once you've learned the 4 or 5 scams they're running, they come up with a new 4 or 5, and we got to stay on top of all of them.
Yeah, Rob, great job on avoiding that scam. We have heard different scenarios kind of with the same flavor of that. One of them is take a picture of yourself with your driver's license and send it to me so we know you're legitimate. Well, what you're doing is you're sending a picture of you and your driver's license, right? That these scammers are going to then use to manipulate and trick other people. Here's the thing. There are so many of these variations of scams out there. I mean, I think on the Fraud Watch Network page, we have 70+ scams listed. But right, it doesn't really matter what the scam is. You have to just listen to the red flags. And we've said them a bunch tonight. Gift card, Bitcoin, wire transfer, peer-to-peer, Social Security number, Medicare number. If you hear any of those things, just think of them as like a little buzzer. You hear gift card, you sit up straight, gift card, scam, right? And walk away. I mean, Sam, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, and the point made about something new popping up all the time. So one of the frauds that we've been hearing about recently, and from some of our volunteers, is they've been getting phished through their email about their Zoom account, saying, you know, your Zoom account has been unactive or it's been hacked. Please click here for us to unlock your Zoom account. Well, people 12 months ago had no idea what a Zoom account even was. And so there's not a lot of familiarity with the product. And so they see these emails come and they're like, oh my gosh, well, I barely even know how to use Zoom. This has got to be legitimate. I must have done something wrong. And again, it's just like you said, Amy, they may use a different message. They may use, you know, a different sort of theme to their fraud, but they're always going to try to get you to take that similar action, right? It's click on a link, you know, as you said, load a gift card, send them some money in a Venmo account or something like that. So in the end, the core basics of the fraud are always the same. It's just how they package it that changes with the times.
You know what's hard is that all three of us, I think that we take pride in the work that we do, and we sleep well at night knowing that we're trying to help people each and every day. How do these fraudsters sleep? You know, especially if you're going to work inside an office building knowing that you're trying to get people's hard-earned money as you go inside to work every day. It's just unbelievable. It's so important to fight back, which is why we're so grateful to have you here. We're going to pause for a quick break, but we still have time for your call and 2 Yeti coolers to give away. 877-283-7570 is the number to call and join our conversation. You might just be a winner tonight. Let us know, how have fraudsters come after your hard-earned money? We'll be right back with more Rural America Live with AARP after this. Welcome back to Rural America Live. We still have 2 Yeti coolers to give away, so we're going to go straight to the phones. Phil from Connecticut joins the conversation now. Go right ahead, Phil.
Yes, thank you for taking the call. It's calling about a check I wrote out before Christmas for a donation to an organization, and they haven't cashed it yet. I was wondering if it's possible that they're fraudulent. The other thing is, how do you handle all this donation mail you get, like before Christmas time? How do you know who's legit as an organization and who isn't?
Oh, that is such a great question, Phil. My best recommendation when it comes to charitable giving is every year make a plan and make a list of who you want to donate to that year. Because what that does is it gives you time to research that organization. You can go on charitynavigator.org, you can go to give.org, and you can then look up those charities to see where that money is going to and how they spend it, right? So what that does is also, if you get these unsolicited requests for charity donations around the holidays, you can say, you know what, I already have my charities for this year, but if you would like to send me some information in the mail, I can do my research and add you for next year. That kind of eliminates some of the pressure. Now, of course, if it's your kid's school or your grandchild's, Cub Scouts, of course, maybe you can, donate a little bit. But it's always really good to do your research because there has been quite a bit of charity fraud lately, especially around some of the service organizations, veteran organizations, or police organizations. So I don't know why your check wasn't cashed. It could have been something as simple as it was lost in the mail. So you might want to follow up with that charity. But first, if you want to check on it, you can always call us or you can go to give.org and check on that charity. Sam, what do you think about that?
I think that's right. And I think that's the right advice, Amy, certainly. The other thing you can do, Phil, is, you can always call your bank and stop payment on that check. Who knows what happened if it got lost in the mail or got lost on the receiving end or whatever. But, there is critical information on that check and you want to be really mindful of it. So you're really smart to still be thinking about it, even though that's 4 months away or 4 months past from when you wrote the check. But, if there's any doubt in your mind, again, contact your bank, stop payment on that check. That, allows you the peace of mind that at least that specific check won't be used fraudulently by someone that you didn't intend to when you wrote it to the charity that you desired to send it to.
It's a beautiful thing that you want to give. We really appreciate that call. That leaves a line open for you. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. You might just be a winner. We still have 2 Yeti coolers. Well, Vivian of Mississippi is going to claim one of those Yeti coolers. Thanks for joining us, Vivian. Go right ahead.
Yes, I've received phone calls from someone before that told me that I was a winner of Publishers Clearinghouse giveaway, and because I shopped at Walgreens or Walmart, and that's how I was entered. So they wanted me to go purchase a green gift card for $499, and they would call me back, and they would tell me what to do with it, and they would need the numbers from it. So be sure and hurry, and don't tell anyone, because someone else could call the number that they gave me, and they could claim to be me, and they could win my $2 million. So I was to not tell any of my family or anyone. Just go get that gift card and call them back or they would call me. Well, of course, I knew it was a scam, but I kept them on the phone a little bit. And when they called me back, I said, yes, I'd been there. I got a gift card, but I didn't think I wanted to give them the number. And they talked to me some more. Finally, I told them, I said, look, I'm a busy lady. I have things to do. I know this is a scam. And I hung up on them. They called back again, and when they called back again, I explained to them that I knew it was a scam. Stop calling me. They called me another 2 or 3 times. I got a whistle, and I blew that whistle into the phone quite loudly. I hung up again. Then they called me back and threatened me, and I blew the whistle again, and then I stopped answering my phone.
Wow. Wow, that's a story. Couple of things. I was taking notes. I want to make sure that we hit on a couple of red flags in that. Secret, right? I mean, secrets aren't really good, are they? So if they tell you that you just won a huge sweepstakes, but you can't tell your family, I mean, that's a huge red flag. Anyone that tells you to keep a secret, huge red flag. We heard the red flag in there about gift cards, right? Green dot gift card. That is a huge red flag. And I just want to make sure that when we say that about the gift card, people never actually have to leave that gift card. It never has to leave their possession. All you need to do is read the numbers on the back of the card and then scratch off that pin. The card is still in your hands, but when you give those numbers to the scammers, they can instantly drain the card. Because people will say to me, well, I still have the card. I gave them the numbers, but I still have the card. Doesn't matter. Also, Publishers Clearinghouse imposters, it's always in our top 5. It might even be number 2 right now on the helpline. That is not how Publishers Clearinghouse gives their prizes away. They literally show up at your front door, and they're never going to ask for you to have prepaid taxes. Of course, they'll help you with your tax form after you get your prize, just like at a casino or anything else. But they'll never ask you to prepay. I mean, right, Sam, those Publishers Clearinghouse imposters, they've been around forever.
I wouldn't even want my weeds to grow too tall next to Vivian. I mean, I think there's a streak in her that she's going to get you. But you're smart, Vivian. I mean, you did all the right things. I, of course, gave the advice earlier. I prefer not to mess with the fraudsters, too much. Again, just for the exact reasons as you explained to the audience, right? They can get very threatening and all of that. That can be a little frightening, but you spotted it. You knew it was a fraud out and out, and you protected yourself. And in the end, that's what matters the most.
A literal whistleblower on the line with us. We appreciate that so much. And you know what? Vivian's a winner. I think she deserves that Yeti cooler. Next up, Pat from Missouri joins us tonight. Go right ahead, Pat.
Yes. I have been getting scam calls from Amazon, and they're saying that somebody has tried to put like $925 on my credit card, and they bought something for this amount. That's just one of the amounts. They've also called, and they said somebody has tried to charge $500 and something. And all I have to do is push number 1. Well, I think when I push number 1, that would be giving them all my information, correct?
Yeah, Pat, I'm so glad you brought up this scam. So pushing number 1 on your telephone keypad for that scam will get you into the scam even further, and it'll have you hook up with their call center. So this Amazon scam is probably the number 1 most reported on our helpline right now. It might be tied with Social Security imposter. But I want to just be very clear about this. This is a huge scam, and people are losing thousands of dollars. And I'll try to be as quick as possible, but I want to make sure people understand how this works. So they'll tell you that there was a fraudulent charge on your Amazon account and that they're going to help you get a credit and they'll need to go into your computer. So they'll install something called like AnyDesk on your computer. You'll allow them into your computer. They'll open up your bank account and they'll show you how to do the refund. In your case, they said 900. So they'll put in 900, but they'll accidentally add a 0, right? And then they freak out and they say, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. I'm going to lose my job. I need you to send me that $8,200 or whatever the difference is. back to them. 8100, math's not my specialty. Back to them. This is where people are losing thousands of dollars. Amazon will never call you. And the reason they're using Amazon right now is because when we couldn't go to our grocery stores and we needed our toilet paper and our food, we were ordering them from places like this. So they're just assuming all of us are using Amazon, and they're just hooking us in with this scam. It is so big. Watch out for it, please.
Wow. And who doesn't use Amazon? I don't know anybody. All right.
Right.
Earl from Kentucky joins the conversation, and Earl is a winner tonight. Congratulations, Earl. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you for my call. My statement to the panel is I get several calls on an average of 2 or 3 a week, and they tell me that my Social Security number has been compromised. And press 1 for customer service if you want more details. I press 1, and that's the first thing they ask me for my Social Security number. How can I block that or whatever?
Yes. So again, huge, huge scam. This is not how the Social Security Administration works. Your Social Security is not compromised. It was not used in a crime. And let me just say this, red flag. If the Social Security Administration is calling you, they don't need your number. They already know it. Trust me, right? But this is not how they do business. So if by chance you have received this phone call and you have provided some or all of your Social Security number, you're going to want to put a fraud alert on your credit report. That is free. It's good for a year. It is very easy and simple to do. You can go to AARP.org/fraudwatchnetwork and get more information about that, or you can certainly call us on the helpline and we can give you all of that information. That's Social Security imposter scam. It is so popular and it's so pervasive because it works and the scammers are making money off of it.
Wow. What a great show tonight. I mean, we only have a little bit of time left, but I'd like to hear your final thoughts. Amy, let's start with you.
Yes, and I'm actually going to look at these because I want to make sure I get them all right. Okay, let all calls from strangers go to voicemail, right? We always say if it's important, they will leave a voicemail because people say, what if it's my doctor? He will leave a voicemail. You know, delete any suspicious pop-ups, text messages, emails, anybody you do not know, delete it. If you're on the phone and let's say they're asking you a bunch of questions, ask for information in writing. This is really good with that one we talked about with charity. Ask them to send it in the mail. And finally, do not allow anybody remote access to your home computer. I also just want to say from AARP, congratulations to the winners. And just so you know, AARP will be calling you probably tomorrow or early next week to help you get your prize. So congratulations.
Congratulations. And what a prize it is. A Yeti cooler. I mean, that's something that's going to last for a while and you can take it wherever you go. Want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. That about does it for us, but we will be back next month, May 20th, for the latest COVID-19 vaccine updates. And we're going to have a very special guest for you when we meet back here. In the meantime, I want to give you some of those resources, AARP.org/AARP Live. That's where you want to go to find out about all the scams that are out there. There's even a clergy scam taking place that you want to find out about. AARP.org/AARP Live. And then the Fraud Watch number. If you have a question or if you want to report a fraud, 1-877-908-3360. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.